So this is the self-development with tactics. Book.
So, this one's gonna be again about Tim Ferriss' Tribes of Mentors, I think it's called, if I'm not quite wrong here. Yeah, it is. Tribe of Mentors. I'm always saying tribes of mentors, but it is Tribe of Mentors. And we're gonna go ahead with the next 2 chapters, approximately, I guess. We might also be able to just go through 3 chapters, but yeah, there's gonna be more after the intro. As always. And with that being said, hello, welcome back to the next episode of the Self-Development with Tactics podcast. And interestingly enough, it is actually some sort of first thing that I'm doing just because I just came home, I've been eating a little bit, and now I'm sitting here, which is amazing. Like, it's everything, like, it's really fast, to be honest. You know, it might even be a little bit too fast for myself just because I'm actually realizing it right now, you know, that I'm in the episode, that I'm recording something, and so on. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, with that being said, hello, welcome back to the next episode. If I haven't said it, if I have, I'm very sorry. We're gonna go through Tribes of Mentors or Tribe of Mentors by Tim Ferriss, and we're gonna go through the next 2 chapters. And these 2 chapters are actually, at least in my point of view, 2 really good ones. And I've really enjoyed the questions there, and I've also really enjoyed the answers there, if I remember that correctly. So as you already can see on the left side of the screen, we're actually having the summary from the paulminus.com site, which is going to be down in the description if you want to check it out as well. It is already on the left side of the screen, as you can see here. So yesterday we went through the $100 purchases and the influential books. And today we're going to go through billboard messages and also lessons from failure. And I do think, as I said before, those 2 are really incredibly good and also interesting. And I'm really looking forward to going through them. So let's actually start with the first one, billboard messages. You know, it might be one of the statements that you do not really know what it is meant by in the first place. So I'm gonna read. If you could have a gigantic billboard anywhere with anything on it, what would it say and why? So many interesting quotes. If I were to pick the best ones, they would be the following ones. And the first one is actually from Ariana Huffington, who is actually Greek and American. Apparently, even though she immigrated in the UK, if I remember correctly, which is quite funny as I'm just thinking about it, just because she's American still. But yeah, not quite sure. So Ariana Huffington wants you to know that burnout is not the price you have to pay for success. We are under the collective delusion that we have to choose between our own well-being and success. It doesn't really have to be the case, because you can also be successful by not working 120-hour weeks. Of course, like, your expectations and your ambition should match the action that you're taking. Which means that if you expect like $700 billion in your bank account, then you should also be working like this. You know, you should be having the exact or the just proportional amount of work done, you know, compared to what you're expecting, compared to what you're dreaming of. But if it is about like just, I don't know, doing well, then I really don't think that you actually have to kind of, think about choosing your success over your well-being. And I particularly think that is not gonna necessarily make you really successful if you're doing so. I know that some people are doing that, and I know that it is the case just because she is pointing it out, you know, and she wouldn't point it out if nobody would actually be doing that. But yeah, you know, why shouldn't you just work on something that's something that you really are appreciating, something that you're really passionate about, and something that you really kind of think that it is something good, or it is something that makes sense, or it is something that is going to contribute somebody's life? Why? You know, why shouldn't you be doing something like that? Instead of just doing something for the money, instead of just doing something for the quote-unquote success. But here it is also really important, in my point of view, to also decide what success is for you, you know, because it could just also be about having 100 children and they all should be healthy and whatnot. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be about money. It doesn't necessarily have to be about your financial state or position and or your corporate position. in terms of like if you're the CEO of a company or not, and all those things. The second one, from Terry Crews. God will not have his work made manifest by cowards, by Ralph Waldo Emerson and Aisha Tyler. Everything you want is on the other side of fear. They're all about defeating fear. I'm not quite sure about that, if it is all about fear. But yeah, I still think 2 good quotes. The third one is from Debbie Willman, and she went for busy is a decision. I am not busy is the most inauthentic. I am too busy is the most inauthentic excuse to rationalize why we don't do something. Yeah, it really is, because there's so much time in the day. There's 24 fucking hours. Of course, we're gonna sleep a bunch of these hours, which is something that's healthy and which is also something that you should be doing. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't be sleeping, but maybe kind of referring back to the expectation part and what you're hoping for or what you're dreaming about. But still, I believe that if you're saying like, I'm too busy, then it is only about preferences. It's gonna be about preference. It's gonna be like, okay, I'm preferring doing just bullshit over something that's gonna actually matter in the long run, which is something, unfortunately, that a lot of people are doing. A lot of people, especially if it is about teenagers, I would say it's especially about like people that are as young as I am. I'm 18 years old and I'm working my fucking ass off somehow. Like it really depends. It really depends on whom you're comparing myself to or me to. Just because like, yeah, compared to, for example, Elon Musk, I'm doing basically nothing all day long. Of course. But still, unfortunately, just a lot of young people don't do anything, especially also not about their passions, about the things that they actually are good at, which is something that's a pity because they are now having the time. We are now having the time. We are now having the time to do something that's incredible and to also gain skills and to perfectionize, quote unquote, which is something that's completely nonsensical because there is no perfection. We are having a time right now and also the resources in terms of time, and in this state or in this position that I am in, like I'm having just such a lot of time because I'm also using it. And because I'm also just using it for this, not for something else. On the other hand, which is something that I've been thinking about today, is just being really efficient with the time that I'm having. Most often, I kind of feel like that I'm wasting quite a lot of time because I'm actually able to be way faster than I am just usually. Because today I've already done such a lot of work so that I just actually have to record 2 episodes and that's quite it for the day. And I'm just uploading like the podcast of it and all those things, and that's fucking it for today. Because I've been able to do everything beforehand. I've been able to do everything while I was in a train, while I was just in school, while I was just somewhere. I've been able to just do something, which is amazing, which is also one of the reasons why I'm often talking about doing work in different times, or that it actually matters when you're doing the work. Because if you're doing the work for tomorrow today, there's not so much to do tomorrow, which leads you to just having more time, which leads you to just having more energy. Maybe as well, if it is about some tasks that you do not really favor, or some tasks that you're not really passionate about, or you're not really looking forward to doing. But the next one. The fourth one is from Dita Fun, whatever, TC or Tessa chose, you can be a choosy ripe peach and there's still be someone who doesn't like peaches. Most things that are universally accepted are mediocre and boring, which is actually something that I tend to think about my podcast, I don't really know if I'm just going into the right direction, if I'm having just a niche enough podcast, if it is like small enough, for a really small audience, because it should be for a small audience. It really should, because if I'm able to do something for this small audience, then I'm actually able to just really serve them. I'm able to give them something that they actually like to have and maybe even love. But if I'm doing something for everybody, it's going to be something that everyone likes, but nobody loves. The fifth one is from Sarah Elizabeth Lewis, or something. Always reminds herself that the main thing is to keep the main thing, which is amazing in my point of view. I've really enjoyed it as I've read it. I think the second time, I guess. I think it's been the second time. And the sixth and last one is from Scott Belsky. Believes that great opportunities never have great opportunity in a subject line. If the potential upside were explicitly clear, the opportunity would have already been taken. Seize opportunities when they present themselves, not when they are convenient or obvious. I would say this as well. Like there's going to be a lot of potential things and which are in the end not going to be real things maybe. but there's also going to be just a bunch of things, and then just timing really matters, which is, by the way, also something that Gary Vee is talking about. If you kind of just listen to him somehow between the lines, or somehow just really focusing on certain parts, then it's going to be about, like, the main wealth that he was able to acquire was through investing, if I remember it correctly, or if I'm seeing that correctly, like the wealth that he is having. The thing is, it's definitely about timing. It's definitely about timing, you know, because if you're actually having the money up to this point in time, and you're also having the opportunity, and you're seeing the opportunity that you're able to invest just in somebody's company, and you're doing that, and therefore you're just worth quite a lot of money through that, then it is amazing, you know? It really is, you know? And then it is only about time. It's only about this certain moment. And if you kind of lose a certain moment, or if you kind of feel like, well, maybe I shouldn't be investing into it, maybe I'm just not going to do that, and in the end, you're not going to do it, then the whole thing is basically lost and gone. And that's it for this opportunity. Like, some things are going to be like, potentially, I guess, a once in a lifetime experience. But yeah, so the finally, some short honorable mentions. Hard choices, easy life. Easy choices, hard life. From or for Jerzy Gregorek. No One Owes You Anything by Amelia Boone or Bone. Be Here Now for Ben Stiller. Storms Make Us Stronger for Bear Grylls. And If You Can't Laugh at It, You Lose for John Cole. And now let's go through failure. Because failure is actually something that a lot of people are talking about. And I'm hopefully going to talk about it as well in the near future. I think I'm just already able to talk about it because throughout the last year of content production, you know, of actually producing quite something, like more than 570 episodes of the podcast and also YouTube videos and all these things, it's been a lot of things that I've been doing. It's a lot of stuff that I've been putting out, which is incredible at my point of view because I've been able to learn so much. I've really been able to learn such an incredible amount of stuff, you know, not only through just being a practitioner, which is something that I think you are then going to realize after some time and after you have actually also been thinking about it, because most often these are just things that you need. There's a lot of things, just starting just with recording. I didn't know how to record myself in a proper way so that it is looking fine, the data is not too big, the microphone is actually working, which is something that's not gonna work if you're just starting out without anything. In terms of just if you're plugging your phone into your PC, it's not gonna work. At least if I remember that correctly, you know, at least this is something that I had to figure out. Like, there's a bunch of things that I had to figure out so that I'm able to do what I'm doing. And also just there's a lot of things that, I don't know, happened, you know, also like just losing some data just because my HDD was full and out of space and all those things. Like, they're just things that you're learning from, you know, there's just things that you are learning through doing. 4 lessons from failure. How has failure or how has a failure or apparent failure set you up for later success? Do you have a favorite failure of yours? The overall sentiment of the answer painting the rags to riches narrative, which is universal. Failures have shaped successful people. They brought them closer to their real self. And there's a quote now. Sometimes not getting what you want opens the door to getting what you need, as Mike Maples Jr. said in the book. The best in the world have demystified failure. Out of the brilliant stories of the book, please read it. Here's 3. And I, by the way, really appreciate the book, you know, and I really appreciate the work. And I guess if I would buy myself a book, this is going to be one of the, it's going to be just this book. So Tribe of Mentors, I think is just having really good chances that I'm buying it when I'm buying a new book. Besides Super Thinking, which I'm also really liking, even though the summary was like just really, I didn't understand anything. And I've also been going through it on a podcast, by the way. Tools of Titans by Tim Ferriss as well, where he has also talked to a bunch of different people in different spaces and just really successful people. And it's been also a really amazing book to go through as a summary and all those things. Like, it is amazing. In general, I have to say, the work that Tim Ferriss is doing is just great. The first one, any duke learned through poker to disconnect failure from outcomes. Bad decisions can still lead to short-term success and good decisions to unexpected short-term failure. Every decision is failure as Every decision failure is an opportunity to learn and adjust my strategy going forward. The second one is from Dida von Tessi or Tissi. Once again, I'm really sorry that I'm kind of unable to pronounce everything the correct way, probably. Wanted to be a ballet dancer so badly. Through constant failure, she realized that she really loved she realized that all she really loved was what ballet stood for, which is glamour, femininity, elegance, drama, in one word, showbiz. Sometimes your outcomes can lead to greatness because those of us who have intense desire but lack natural God-given talent sometimes find roundabout ways of realizing dreams. And the third and last one is, finally, in the words of Neil Strauss, in the big picture of our lives, we really don't know whether a particular success or failure is actually helping or hurting us. The metric I use to judge my efforts and goals are: A, did I do my best given who I was and what I knew at the particular time? And B, what can I learn from the outcome to make it better the next time? I also feel I need to mention these lines by Ben Stiller. With movies, you learn that the true mark of success is whether people still connect years later, if the movie has a life. If you choose the end mark, that determines failure and or success. It's great. I really appreciate what all those people have been talking about in these few sentences or in these few paragraphs there. And it is amazing because I always believe that failure is just a really big part of becoming successful, being successful, and essentially, like, success is such a fucked up thing. Like, always talking about success, always talking about the, just money and all those things. Like, maybe we're gonna just not use it for quite some while. I guess I'm really bit pissed off by success as a word. I guess failure is just a really big part of everyone's life. You know, whether you're actually just really willing to be successful or just doing something. Like, failure is going to be a part of it, and just embracing the failure and also just being able to cope with it is probably going to be something that's really important for all of us, because we're all going to fail. We're all going to make mistakes. And if you're incapable of cope with them, it's not really good. You know, you're going to be just crushed. You're not going to really feel good if these things happen. And these things are going to happen. It still depends on just the situation you are in. Like, if you're just really trying to never ever make a mistake, which is something that in theory you're able to do so, I guess. But in real life, like, no, you know, it's probably not going to be able, or you're probably not going to be able to do so just in reality, like if you're just thinking of life and whatnot. But like, yeah, embrace it. Like, try to cope with it. Try to, I would also say try to not do it on purpose, which is, I kind of feel like something that I'm seeing in society and I'm trying to see in people, or kind of feeling that it might be the case that people are doing so. Because, like, failure is good, mistakes are good, and therefore people think like they should be making mistakes. Like if it is happening, it is fine, it is okay. But if it is not happening and everything is working really fine, I think it's also really good. Maybe it's also having something to do with realizing that something that you do was a failure or was a mistake or whatever. Because of course you can neglect that, and of course you can say, like, you know, it's not been my failure, it's not been my mistake, it's been his mistake. Like, blaming somebody else, it's a really easy way to not be responsible for everything or anything, actually, as well. But yeah, I guess this is actually going to be the end of the episode. Actually going through 2 quote-unquote chapters at a time is working pretty fine. You know, I really enjoyed and I really liked that in this way. But yeah, I'm going to see you the next time, hopefully. And I wish you the best health, wealth, happiness, and also success. And I also hope that you're going to remind yourself on how you're going to be remembered, which basically means being a nice person and then also being remembered as a nice person. But yeah, 3 other questions that I'm having for you are: what are you trying to change? Why are you here? And what is bothering you the most? Yeah, they're going to show you your purpose and maybe even a business idea. And with that being said, I'll see you the next time.